Hey friends, and welcome back to another A-level video. If you're new here, my name's Ray and I'm a first year Cambridge student studying physical and natural sciences, and last year I achieved 4 A stars in my A-levels, and I would say that's partly thanks to my organisation system. As always, timestamps will be in the description down below, so let's jump straight to the video. So during GCSE, I didn't really have an organisation system and often revised what I felt like and rarely kept track of what I was doing. I would often miss homeworks or rush through them and generally lose sheets of paper. But this wasn't a problem for me for the most part because I just did enough past papers weeks before my exams to make up for my lack of organisation and inefficient work. But looking back, I wish I had an organisation system in place because it would mean that I could divide my attention fairly across all my subjects and save time for some hobbies of my own. Yet, when I started A-levels, I decided to go on the other end of the extreme and end up over-organising. I ended up designing a system that was too complex, and most evenings I would just spend as much time organising as I did doing the work. I would often procrastinate by organising even though everything was already quite well organised. And I think this may be a problem with many other students who start organising. They don't know how much to organise, so end up spending more time organising than actually doing the work they're supposed to be organising. But hopefully this video will help everyone watching get an idea of how much organisation is enough. In short, I have been in both positions of having almost no organisation system in place to spending more time organising and planning tasks than actually doing the work. But fortunately, I managed to find a good middle ground about 2 months into my A-levels, which was great because it meant that number one, I could stay on top of my classwork. Number two, I didn't keep losing bits of paper. Number three, I had time to work through past paper questions. And number four, I finally had more free time than I did at GCSE because I knew what I was supposed to be doing and when to be doing it. So the principle behind the system was simplicity. I didn't want anything that was too advanced or complex to manage. I just wanted something that I could quickly use so I could focus on the work. I didn't want any fancy color coding or highlighters or half a dozen apps to manage everything. I just wanted things to be simple. So my organisation system is split up into number one, my daily drivers, which is my paper planner and my ring binder folder. Number two, my Kanban board, which I use to keep track of more long-term activities. And number three, my archival system, aka having a leave watch folder for each of my subjects. So first things first is my daily planner, which is at the heart of my organisation system. If you're about to click off the video, give me a moment to explain why this paper with a bunch of boxes is much better than most to-do apps. But before that, I'll explain how it is used, so it makes much more sense why it's better. A link to a PDF is in the description so you can print one out yourself. So here we have the days of the week with the weekdays in bold, and we have a box at the top which shows the week we're in. Now, as you can see, there are 9 boxes going downwards and 7 boxes going across. In the boxes downwards, I just put in the tasks for the day. So, for example, we have Unit 6 Science Shorts videos, Physics Workbook 10 questions, F324 June 2012 paper, and matrices homework. Then throughout the week, whenever I had a new task to do at home or at school, I would allocate it to one of these days. Once I did, I would cross it off, but if there was enough time that day, I would just move it on to the following day. I found this really powerful because I knew exactly what I had to be doing. Especially during my free periods at school, I didn't have to think about what I should be doing. I would just look at my list and see what's allocated for that day. So I would then check this multiple times a day during my school day and leave it out on my desk when I got home so I could see what tasks I had to finish each day. And now for the backside, which is used to keep track of homework. So here we have one column, which is S/D, which is the set date and the due date. So that's when the homework is set and that's when it's due. Then we have S/T, which is the subjects and then the teacher. And then we have details, which is homework details, so what exactly should be done. And then we have C/R, which is the completed/received. So once I completed the homework, I just tick off the first box. And then once I've given it to the teacher, I would tick off the second. And now I'm going to show you how to fold it in the most effective way, which is you first fold it in half, like this. And often what I would then do is use a pen to make sure these corners are even sharper. And then fold it like this. So fold it so you can see the days of the week outwards. And then do the same to the other side. So fold it like that. and then you can fold it in half again. So now it fits perfectly into your pocket. And the advantage of this is that when it's a Monday or it's a Sunday, then you can easily take it out and see what you have to do during that day without unfolding the whole thing. Whereas if you also then have it stored in your pocket like this, then you can easily see these dates as well. Now, there are many reasons why this is better than having a calendar or a to-do list app on my phone, but the biggest were, number one, with a to-do list, it's way too easy to set yourself too many tasks for that day and end up getting none of them done. Despite there being 9 boxes vertically, I only used up the first 4 to 6, which means I had fewer tasks to do each day. I was playing the long-term game rather than the short-term. Number 2, with a phone, it's far too easy to check your to-do list and then instead of getting the task done, just going on Instagram or Facebook to waste time because it's only a few taps away. By having a productivity system separate from your phone, I found it easy to focus on the task at hand. Also, it means you can turn off your phone and still know what to be doing because it's paper-based. Number 3, on my phone, I ended up spending way too much time using the fancy tools that were built into the apps to organize my tasks rather than actually getting them done. Number 4, once I got home, I could just pin the piece of paper to my wall and always be able to see it. The problem with to-do apps for me was that once I closed the app, I just forgot about the tasks I had to do and forgot to reopen the app until much later in the day. Meanwhile, sticking that piece of paper to my wall, I always knew that I either had to finish the tasks for that day or move them to another day if I wasn't in the mood to do any more work that day. And the best part is that at the end of the week, you can see all the tasks you've done that day crossed off and feel some sense of satisfaction. Then the following week, I would just print out another copy and transfer any homeworks left onto the new piece of paper and throw the old one into the bin. As for my daily folder, this was just a cheap £3 ring binder that I bought from Amazon, which I always kept in my bag. I then bought some cheap subject dividers from Amazon, but because these were made out of plastic, I couldn't write my subject names on them, so I stuck some masking tape onto them and then wrote the names. But there are also paper subject dividers you can buy as well, and I would have one section devoted to each of my 4 subjects. Because I had 2 teachers for each subject, I would have 2 plastic wallets, one for each of my teachers, which I put in any relevant sheets I had for that teacher, as well as any unfinished homework. Meanwhile, some teachers gave us class books, whereas for others we had to use refill pads. For the latter, I would rip out sheets from the pad, work on them during the lesson, and then put them in the relevant teacher's plastic wallet. This meant that everything for each teacher was well organised. And by the way, I bought 50 of these plastic wallets for around £8 from Ryman. They sell thick ones and thinner ones, and I prefer the thick ones because they don't rip so easily. I'd say they're definitely worth the money because I still haven't used them all after about 3 years of buying them. As for my refill pads, I used to just buy cheap 70 GSM 300-page refill pads from Ryman. You can get 6 of these for about £10 online, giving you 1,800 sheets. And I bought more expensive 90 GSM ones, which were the Oxford campus ones. I preferred using the 70 GSM for any rough working out and doing homework, and then the 90 GSM for making any class notes. And finally, these 2 subject dividers at the end. I would use one of them for storing any challenge or Olympiad papers that I would practice throughout the year to improve my maths and physics skills beyond the classroom, and I would use the other one to store any completed homework. So during class, I could just open up the end of my folder, take out the relevant piece of homework and give it to the teacher. So now to stop papers piling up in this daily folder, after my teacher would finish covering a topic, I would make flashcards on that topic and then stick the papers into a large leave arch folder at home. I had one leave arch folder for each subject and roughly kept it in order of the specification. This would then pile up with anything I could use for reference later, but I rarely had to come back to it because I used to make flashcards and everything over the weekends, and because I went through my flashcards almost every day, I did not have to look at the notes I made in class anymore because they were already condensed into my flashcards. If you want to know more about the process, I have videos in my playlist about how I got A stars in my relevant subjects. So this purely served as an archival system which I would refer back to. For example, a tricky maths question we did during class or some handwritten notes I made on a hard topic. I would just come back to it every now and then. And finally, with all this, it's quite easy to lose track of the big picture of the whole A-level course. So I would use a Kanban board on an app called Trello. So I have two types of colors. I have a purple color for the topics from the specification, and I have a green color for any questions I want to get done. So now if I go to the Unit 6, Further Mechanics and Thermal Physics, you can see that I now have a checklist. And if you've seen any of my How I Got an A-star videos, you know that I like to make flashcards on as much as possible. And I tried to source information from the flashcards from all these different areas, so I could word the flashcard well and make sure I include all the detail that I need to. So this is just a process I went through for making flashcards for all those topics. And you can see if I go to another topic like Unit 4 Materials, it has a slightly different checklist. And now if I go to Unit 8 Nuclear Physics, then you can see it has this checklist as well. And I'd slowly work through here, changing my flashcards and making them based on this. And I would have a slightly different checklist for my other subjects. So for my chemistry board, I would have a similar layout in which I have the units from the specification, and I would have past papers and any other task that I wanted to do, such as watch science shorts, PAG videos. And now you can see that my cards in Up Next have dates next to them, and those are the dates that I want to do that paper. So because I had a separate Trello board for all my subjects, so I had a different chemistry board and a different maths board, to visualize all the papers that I wanted to do in one calendar, I would use an app called Calendar for Trello. And over here you can see the cards, all the cards which have dates on. So I could just easily drag and move them around and kind of balance out which papers I want to do on which days. Now, finally, as past papers are one of the most important things when it comes to revising, I used a spreadsheet to track which past papers I wanted to do and which ones I did. I used a raw mark percentage to see which ones I didn't do well, so I could repeat them at a later date. So here you can see my chemistry papers, and you can see which ones I did well on and which ones I didn't. And you can see that I repeated certain ones over here, and I made little comments next to them. And I was quite harsh in marking these papers because I thought it was better to be harsh then than have the examiner be harsh when they're marking my actual paper. You can find a template of the spreadsheet in the description down below. And that's basically it. I hope you found that useful. If you did, then leave a like. If not, leave a dislike and let me know why. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.